Shalom. First and foremost, before I get started with my lesson, as always, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Salutations and blessings to the Akim that do this work in truth and sincerity. Lord willing, this video will be edifying and to the point. And the topic of the lesson that I wanted to get into is generational wealth. All right, generational wealth. All right, and that's something that, our people like to speak about, leaving an inheritance, all right, for the next generation, your generation of kids, and, your great grandkids, and so forth and so on. But, a few things to consider. And the first being is that, Yahweh Shai is coming back. Yahweh Shai, all right, is coming back. And, whatever's on this side, all right, is ultimately going to be destroyed. All right. The scriptures speak about how the elements shall melt with fervent heat. So, any inheritance that you've, or should I say, any wealth or inheritance should you gain on this side, is going to be destroyed anyway. And the second being, okay, if you do have an inheritance or you do have some type of money, all right, that shit's not going to last. All right, it's not going to last. If you get some money, all right, if you happen to get some money, all right, and you hold on to it and you say the Lord had, we had more than, 20, 30 years left, God forbid, just speaking hypothetically to the situation, right? You got 20, 30, 40 years left here. And you pass that shit on down to your kids. Ultimately, either two things gonna happen. Them niggas gonna be fighting over that shit. Or, because I've seen it personally. All right, I've seen it within my own family. And I've seen it outside from the, from the outside looking in. That's usually what happens, is that they fight over it. All right, or if they do happen to get a piece of it, they ain't gonna do nothing but spend it anyway on some BS. All right, on something that, holds no value. You know what I mean? So, what's the use? That just furthermore proves the scriptures, and when it goes into speaking about how this ain't our rest. All right, this ain't our rest, man. All right, and something else that I wanted to get into is, all right, a personal story. So check this out, right? So I had this great grandmother. She had a house, all right, and basically they built it from the ground up, man. All right, they had basically a land, all right, that they purchased, all right, and then they basically built. All right, bro. All right. Nah, brother, I'm just walking. All right, you too, brother. But but yeah, man. Again, they bought some land, and they ended up, building their house from ground up, and they lived in it for some years or whatnot, and then ultimately, her daughter took over the land and took over the house and started living there. And then, after she got older, her daughter moved into the house and she had children, and they ultimately destroyed the house. All right, the house went to hell. All right, so as you see, All right, and the picture of the video, all right, of the thumbnail for the video, the first generation builds it. All right, the second generation, all right, it's their responsibility, all right, to basically keep, all right, whatever inheritance up, house, money, whatever the case may be is. And the third generation, all right, by the time it gets to the third generation, it's unappreciated, man, because they didn't earn it. All right, they didn't earn it, so therefore they run that shit into the ground. All right, and that's the story with our people, man. It's a never-ending cycle of an event in which why, you know, like the scripture says, man, this is not our rest, man. Okay, you ain't gonna fucking profit, all right, from this place. You ain't gonna profit from investing in this place. That's why the scriptures say, store your treasures in heaven. All right, I love that scripture. Store your treasures in heaven, where moth and rust does not corrupt, man. All right, because that shit corrupts here, man. All right, and if you leave your inheritance down here for the next generation, these little fucking demons, they're not gonna appreciate nothing, man. They're gonna run that shit in the ground. And mind you, all right, the generation, the third generation, all right, which was my aunt's daughter, her children, when they ran that fucking house into the ground, all right, and that fucking house was on its last leg, all right, and it needed to be repaired, and all of this stuff was supposed to happen to the house. You know, these little ungrateful motherfuckers said, it's not our responsibility to do it. You know, it's not our responsibility. And you living in the house, you just got the house pretty much hands-free. You ain't had to do shit besides pay taxes, all right, pay light, gas, and maybe, you know, state taxes, which was no more than probably $100 a year, or maybe $2. So, you know, that's crazy work, man, to me. You know, because I remember as a kid, right, me and my pops actually going to the house on 2 or 3 occasions and actually gutting that house out down to the, you know, down to the bone, man, down to the structure, all right? And me as a kid, you know, I kind of had the mind frame of my dad because, mind you, the scriptures speak about how, all right, train up a child in the way that he shall go, and he shall not depart. So he was giving me knowledge and game on how to be a carpenter, because that was his profession. All right, so me, I'm looking at it as, in his eyes, like, damn, man, when this house is, you know, passed on down to, you know, the next generation, or, you know, when I get older, it'll be nice to see how far this house has come, especially considering that at the time, I was maybe 7, 8 years old at that time. So the whole block actually, all right, is actually family. It's kin. You know what I mean? So when I look at our house, I'm like, man, that's nice. You know what I'm saying? I can't wait to see, you know, how this block is going to progress. You know, seeing how we had invest and put money into it, man. All right, invest in putting money basically into invest in putting money into the house, man. All right, I was excited to see that as a young man. But now, you know, being in the truth and seeing how she unfolded, man, it just puts a whole nother perspective on things, man. That this is not our rest, and that we don't have no continuing city here, man. We don't have no continuance here, man. We need basically Habashimi Awashai to come and save us from all right, this place, man. All right, we need the Lord, man. All right, because this ain't gonna be nothing but a continuous cycle. All right, a continuous cycle. We gonna build it. All right, the next generation gonna, try to obtain. If we had that many years left to try to obtain it, and then the next one is just they're gonna lose it, man. All right, and we already know that's not gonna happen, because the way that this society is heading, all right, we already know what they want, man. We already know the agenda. All right, 15-minute cities. All right, they want to buy up all the land. All right, all these different things, man. So, we know that that this place ain't got too much longer left, man. All right, and that we need deliverance from this place, man. All right, we need Yahweh Shai. That's the only way that we're gonna truly, have what we need, mentally, physically, spiritually, in all aspects. So again, man, that was just something that I was meditating on. The generational wealth, man. We don't have that because ultimately the Lord has cursed us as a people, as a nation. And the only way we're going to be blessed, all right, in the true sense, and have wealth on all aspects, mentally, all right, because knowledge is also wealth. But we also have, all right, the Lord has promised us what? Everything that we see. All right, that's ultimately what, the Lord promised our forefathers, man. All right, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right. So yeah, man. All right, Lord willing, this video is edifying. Again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem HaKakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Salutations and blessings to the Akim that do this work in truth and sincerity. Until the next time, Lord willing, I say shalom.